What did Jefferson think about rebellion? What did Jefferson say about it? Evelyn, you're on fire.
Every once in a while it was a good.
Now, he wasn't bloodthirsty, and make sure you understand that. He's not saying we should just send people to the guillotine, but he said it's okay to question the government. You know, he did write the Declaration of Independence. Okay? All right, so let's take a look at this. Get it? Northwest Airlines. What territory makes up the Northwest United States today? If I were to ask you what's the Northwest today, what would you say? Charles, what would you say? Yes, and that's not even close to what the Northwest was in 1785. The Northwest, Aiden, say it again. What's the Northwest then?
Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and Wisconsin.
You got it. So you see the big difference. So the Northwest Ordinance, I asked you to take a look at that video there, which you just watched. Take a look at what the Northwest is. Lights, you decide how you want to do it. I want you to understand this was a land deal. It was the whole purpose was to establish states. Now, right off the bat, I want you to understand the significance. What's the significance? What were the phrases on your handout I told you to put a star next to? What's the key? Go ahead.
No slavery or involuntary servitude.
Bingo. In the Northwest Territory. And what's this river? Remember this river. Why is it significant? What river is this? It says it right here, by the way. Ohio. And Ohio River, remember, is the dividing line between what and what?
Slavery and freedom.
Make sure you know that. It established the Ohio River as the boundary between slavery and freedom. We got to know that. We talked about that during the chapter on the French and Indian War. So it established the Ohio River as the dividing line between slavery and freedom, and that is big. We got to know that. What's this line over here? Anybody know what this one is? This also becomes a dividing line between slavery and freedom. What's this line? Good.
Isn't that the Mason-Dixon line?
We're not on Jeopardy. Don't phrase it as a question.
It is the Mason-Dixon line?
Bingo. Boundary between Pennsylvania and Maryland, and also another dividing line between slavery and freedom. So what happens here? Well, what they did was they surveyed, and it was 6 by 6 miles, okay? And you know, if you go out west, I don't know if you have forestry, but if you go out west, they actually still measure the territories like that, okay? Mr. Marr used to teach that. They still do that, okay? So basically what you do is you set up townships. Townships become metropolitan areas, and again, we end up having the states created out of this. So it's 6 by 6. I do want you to be aware of that. 6 by 6. So we're talking 36 square miles. Okay? Now that's very important because what they did was they used the geographic territory to set up schools. Now schools are very significant. Why? What did we just talk about last chapter? Go ahead.
Women to get an education.
Yeah, so remember, you can't have education going on if you don't have schools. So this is very important for that reason too. Okay? So here we have the Northwest Territory, all right? And again, what river is this, everybody?
Ohio.
Ohio meaning Great River, yes. Take a look at that. You can see the grid, the 6 by 6, okay? Very significant. Land deal. The biggest outcome of this, of course, education, but don't forget it also establishes part of our country off limits to slavery, and you got to know that. The key significance here is our country's dividing before we are even a country. Okay? Something George Washington said don't ever do. Don't break up the country. Don't divide the country. How'd we do? How'd we do?
Not very well.
No, we didn't do very well. He said no political parties. How'd we do with that?
Worse.
We didn't do too well there either, did we? No. And he said don't get involved in foreign affairs. We kind of struck out, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get to that with his presidency. Okay, so the Northwest Ordinance, 1785. 1787 when it comes official. Don't get too bogged down with the dates. But the bottom line is it created the territories, which would eventually become states. It was a method in which the territories would become states. So if you have 5,000 people living there, which was really easy to come up with, territory can elect their own legislature. If you have 60,000, you can become a state. So there's that 6 again. Okay? 60,000, it can become a state. That's the key there. Not worried too much about 5,000, but 6,000 can become 60,000 can become a state. And it established what as the dividing line between slavery and freedom?
Ohio River.
Ohio River. We got to know that. And there, what you're looking at is the Ohio River. I took this picture. I was actually standing in Louisville, looking across the bridge. When you go across the bridge, you're in. Anybody know what state you'd be in? I'll take a guess. I know I've asked you to recall geography. Go ahead, Aiden.
Ohio?
You're close. Depending where you cross the Ohio River. From Louisville, go across, you'd be in Indiana. Actually, you're looking very close to Indianapolis. It's right across the bridge. Okay, so the Northwest Ordinance, the key phrase, there would be neither slavery nor voluntary servitude in the said territory. That's what you got to know. Now, here's the thing. Go ahead and turn the lights on. Now, you guys have more exciting life than I do, but you want to know something fun? Try this sometime. You see this book? This is about how big the Northwest Ordinance was. Forget the title in here, but assume this just says Northwest Ordinance. And what are there, 1,000 pages or so? Yeah, you want to borrow this? Very soon I'll let you borrow it. And what the Northwest Ordinance is somebody must have got paid a lot of money to sit down and write this thing up. I mean, how hard can it be? 6,000, 60,000, and they really must have got paid by the hour because they really drug it out. You know what I mean? But in this thousands of pages, there was this phrase. Nobody even thought of it. And I'm sure the people that did know it was in there didn't think it'd be a big deal because, first of all, people would ignore it anyway. And nobody would even care. It's one small phrase in this whole 1,000-page manual about the Northwest Ordinance. You want fun? And you can look up the Northwest Ordinance. You can read that too this weekend. That'll be fun. That'll be really fun. You'll enjoy it. Nobody thought it'd be a big deal, but obviously this is going to change the course of U.S. history, and I need you to know why this is so significant. That you got to know. Okay. To be clear, let's take a look. Aiden, please. Will you read, please?
Northwest Ordinance forbids slavery in the territories north of the Ohio River. This divides southern slave states and northern free states. Sectionalism.
Yep.
Washington would not be happy.
Okay, I want you to know this term, sectionalism. Think about just the shortened form of the word, sections. Sectionalism means dividing the country, something Washington told us not ever to do. He said that in his farewell address. That was his warning. He said, don't divide the country. No sectionalism. Washington would not be happy because obviously that's exactly what comes out of this. Sectionalism means dividing the country. That was one of Washington's warnings. We did it anyway, of course. Okay, let's take a look up here. Let's see if we can fill this in. Volunteer. Go ahead.
The dividing line.
No.
Oh.
You didn't read it.
I did not read it.
Okay, start at the top. Go ahead.
You want me to read it?
Yeah.
Oh, further
Come on, you'd be done by now. Go.
Further the banning of slavery in the territory, the effect of establishing the Ohio River and Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah, that's why I asked you because I knew you knew that. Go ahead.
Yeah. As the boundary between free and slave territory and the region between the Appalachian Mountains and the Mississippi River, this division helped set the stage for the balancing act between free and slave states. That was the basis of a critical political question in American politics in the 19th century until the Civil War.
Now, keep in mind, I need you to know this, and I'll say it again when we get into April this year and things like that. The Civil War did not end slavery. Make that distinction. The 13th Amendment ended slavery, which happened because of the Civil War, but it was not the Civil War that ended slavery. Okay? It was not even the Emancipation Proclamation that ended slavery. The 13th Amendment is what ended slavery. We'll get to that. Okay. So, as you can see here, let's just read the introduction there. When you look at what one strength of the Articles, you could say something really general. The Articles of Confederation. Now, we know it gets scrapped. Okay? But one thing that did happen under the Articles was this Northwest Ordinance, and I do want you to know that. This happened under the Articles. This was not when the Constitution was written. Okay? The other thing I want you to know is, under the Articles, the colonies did win the war. So was it all that bad, Keith? Was this Articles all that bad? He did win the war with it. Yeah, but Shays' Rebellion said, yeah, it was all that bad. So now which is it, Kaylee? Was it bad or not? Make a decision. What do you think?
I'd say it's
Okay, in between. Go ahead.
I'd say that like during the war it was fine because they like weren't focusing on the government as much, they were like focusing on things. Then afterwards when everything started to settle, they
Well, yeah, and both answers very acceptable. I think also if you'd have tried to unite all the states together, it wasn't going to work. The people of Virginia were not going to give up power. No, it just wasn't going to happen. So something to think about. Let's just read the introduction here. Gracie, please.
The Northwest Ordinance of 1787 was passed under the Articles of Confederation government and helped establish the process for creating new state governments west of the Appalachian Mountains and around the Great Lakes. The United States acquired these territories in the Treaty of Paris in 1783, which also recognized American independence.
Okay, so it was supposed to be strictly a land deal to create states. I want you to know that. But in this whole big volume was that one phrase. And obviously that's going to set the course. Okay? Okay. So let's take a look at this. The debate. After what major event was there pressure for a stronger central government? Who can answer that? I was hoping I'd have more hands in here. Ella, tell them. After Shays' Rebellion, yes. Who kept complete records of the debates? Don't say Jefferson. He loved the right. Good. No, not Hamilton. Good guess, though. Go ahead. James Madison, yes. What did these papers become? Go ahead.
Federalist Papers?
Yeah, the Federalist Papers. Okay. So the original plan was to amend the Articles of Confederation. What does amend mean? A little bit of civics here. Now, if I can get done with this, I'm going to give you time to start on your homework. So start talking. What does amend mean? Jesse, what does amend mean? Change or add to it. Yep, I'll go with that. Do they keep the Articles and then amend it, Jesse? Say no. No. They do what with it?
Scrap it.
There we go. On the third day, they scrapped it. I feel like a minister. On the third day. Never mind. Anyway, they scrapped the Articles and began to create a new government. Scrapped it. Who missed? Who was missing? Which state wasn't there? Anybody know? You got a 1 out of 50. Go ahead. Rhode Island was not there. Was there plan to create a new constitution? No, we get the idea. Rhode Island was not there. Okay, now these are some videos which are on Canvas. We'll talk about them in a second. Why wasn't Rhode Island there? Let's just read through this. Distrustful of a powerful federal government, Rhode Island boycotted the Constitutional Convention. Starting with the red part there. Kaylee, please.
Even the normally temperate George Washington was not happy. Instead, Rhode Island still perseveres
Perseveres.
in that
In politics. Yep.
unjust and one might add without much impropriety, scandalous conduct, which seems to have marked all her public councils.
What do you think? Them's fighting words, aren't they? You calling Rhode Island scandalous, impropriety. Oh, he wants a throwdown. However,
On the condition that a Bill of Rights be included, Rhode Island became the 13th state to ratify the Constitution on May 29, 1790, more than a year after Washington was sworn in as president.
no, so they made nice. Okay. All right.